Growing a business is kind of tricky right now. Supply chains are squeezed, tariffs and trade policies are dynamic, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. You need clarity to come out on top. Without it, you risk falling behind. If only you could hop in the DeLorean and see the future, right? Thankfully, there's NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite has real-time forecasting to help you move ahead with confidence. This is your AI-powered business management suite and the #1 cloud ERP. Trusted by over 42,000 businesses, NetSuite brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. And with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. You spent months building towards launch day, but when the clock hits 0, your site crashes. Bots swarm, and loyal fans rage on Reddit. That's not good. Fanfare was built to stop that. Fanfare is the drop platform made for high-pressure moments, stampede-proof infrastructure, verified waitlists, and bot filters that actually work. Instead of refunds and rage, you get retention and revenue. And that sounds great to me. Your next launch shouldn't be a gamble. Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook and learn how to bulletproof your drop at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, that's fanfare.io/playbook. Hey, I get it. You've worked really hard to build up your business and it's doing great. So great that you need help now. The most important thing for your business is to hire the right people to support it. So how can you find amazing candidates quickly? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you stand out and hire fast. And with Sponsored Jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, Sponsored Jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. And it's one of the largest databases of job seekers, too, giving business owners access to a wide range of candidates. And one of the things I love most about Indeed is the job alerts feature. I get notified when new candidates apply. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. This is a Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number 45. Batter up.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host, a man who'd rather stay at home with the family, Pat Flynn.
While DIY website tools are everywhere, most fall short on design and performance. Hit publish. Framer ships your site worldwide in seconds. No code, no compromises. Framer is a powerful, user-friendly platform that delivers developer-level results without writing a single line of code. Make your designs move and convert with Framer. Framer brings your site to life with powerful animations, dynamic content handling, and a design-first approach that helps your site stand out. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. Browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something of your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, scroll and looping animations, and much more in seconds. And it's free to start. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting of generating starter layouts and can even translate your entire site to any language. On the back end, you'll get responsive breakpoints, built-in hosting, a flexible CMS, and privacy-friendly analytics. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at Framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's Framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. With running your own business, legal questions always come with the territory. Like, can I use this contractor agreement? What do I do if a client doesn't pay? Am I even structured the right way for taxes? Instead of Googling your way through legal landmines, imagine having a law firm ready to address your business's legal needs without the sticker shock. That's what you get with Legal Shield's small business plans. Legal Shield helps entrepreneurs access real legal help on contract reviews, collection letters, business formation guidance, and even help navigating IRS audits. Members can schedule consultations, upload documents through the app, and get support from a provider law firm that knows small business laws in your state. Plus, consultations on taxes or trademarks help you stay ahead of potential problems. And if a client is late on a payment, Legal Shield steps in with professional collection letters so you can protect your hard-earned revenue, all for a fraction of the price of hiring a lawyer on your own. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI. Hey, what's up? This is Pat Flynn, and welcome to the 45th session of the Smart Passive Income Podcast. This session is part 2 of a 2-part series on how to win with your email list. And in the last show, we talked about everything email marketing up to the point at which a person subscribes to your email list. And if you haven't listened to session 44 yet, I definitely recommend you do that first because it leads right into this one. But just to quickly recap what we talked about in session 44, an email list is important because email is still one of the top ways to communicate with people. I check my email every day. I don't know about you. And if you could build a list of subscribers and have the ability to send them an email, you can send an email out promoting something, announcing something, asking something, and you get immediate feedback or get immediate results from those who have opted in to get those emails from you. You know, you can consistently keep in touch with your audience with an autoresponder, which is important. And, you know, most importantly, in my opinion, you can use the email list to build an even stronger relationship with your audience. And, you know, after we talked about the importance of the email list, then we talked about how to start collecting emails on your website, you know, web forms, actually where to place them on your website, some tools to help you along the way. And then finally, we talked a bit about the bonuses that some people give away to, encourage people to sign up to their list and how important that is and how important it is that that giveaway is impressive so that people will stay on your list and any further experiences they have with you and your brand, whether it's more emails or if you were to eventually promote something, you know, it'll just completely work in your favor. Now, there were a few questions that came up after that session, which I wanted to address first. One person asked, you know, how I was able to put the little button in my comment form on my blog, which is a WordPress blog, that people click on, and then when they do that, it automatically subscribes them to my email list. And that's actually a pretty cool feature. And about 10% of my signups actually come from that particular button in the comment form. And it's done with a premium WordPress plugin called Subscribers Magnet, which I'll have on the show notes at smartpassiveincome.com/session45. Now, it is a premium plugin, which means it comes with a cost or fee to use, but it's a plugin that does a whole lot more than just add that button. But honestly, that's the only feature of that plugin that I use. So really, it's up to you, but I just want to make sure I answer that question. Another question that came up was about the address that you use in your emails. You know, in every email you send out from a legit email service provider like Aweber, your address will be shown at the bottom of that email. That's requirement by law in the CAN-SPAM Act. So the question is, do you use your home address here when you sign up with these legit email service providers? And you know, the best thing to do is, if you have a business, to use your business address, of course. I wouldn't actually put my home address on there. I mean, you should do your best to try and separate your business from your personal stuff. But if you're a sole proprietor and you don't want to use your home address, again, which I don't recommend, what are your options? You know, you could actually use a UPS box address or a PO box address. And personally, I'm a business, but since I work from home, I actually have a UPS box, which is my business address for everything, you know, including my email list. So you could use your home address if you want, and if you're comfortable with it. But again, it's up to you. And you will need an address of some kind, though. So that's something to keep in mind as you're setting up your email list. The last question, which I'm really glad was asked, sort of has to do with today's content, because today's content is about what goes into the emails and what happens after a person subscribes. But this question deals with stuff before that too. And the question is, do you use your email list to, or I guess it was to me, you know, hey, Pat, do you use your email list to deliver exclusive content only, or do you also have it set up so that people can get email notifications of new blog posts through your email list? And to answer this question, a lot of people have different opinions about this, but I have my email list and my newsletter set up only to deliver exclusive content to people. I do not notify people of new posts through my primary email list, which you can have it set up to do that automatically, which is pretty cool. But on occasion, like if there's a really important post that I publish and I really want to make sure people read it, then yeah, I'll put that in a post sometimes. But if I don't promote it, I don't promote my list as a way to subscribe to my blog post. I have a separate option to do that on a second newsletter through FeedBlitz, which is FeedBurner's RSS for email. And the reason I have it separate is because I know there are some people that only want to subscribe to my email list to get blog posts. So I give them that option with FeedBlitz. And then there are those, those people wouldn't care for the broadcasts and the autoresponder emails. They just want to get notified of new blog posts through email. And so I have that set up for them. And then there are those who are already subscribed to me anyway through RSS or some other means. And so I don't want to double their blog post notifications through my email list because that's where they sign up to get that exclusive content. And they've given me permission to contact them for that reason. Again, different strokes for different folks, but that's how I have it set up. You could set up Aweber and most other email service providers for both the announcement of blog posts and your broadcasts and autoresponder emails. But like I said, I choose to separate those from each other. And again, different strokes for different folks. And yeah, so those are the questions I came in. If you have any more questions after this particular episode, feel free to ask under the show notes, smartpassiveincome.com/session45, and I'll do my best to answer them. A lot of people in the community will answer before I get to them too. So that's great. Thank you guys so much for all the support. So let's get into today's content. What happens after someone subscribes to your list? If you're using a legit email service provider like Aweber, and most of the other ones require this too, when someone signs up, they're going to have to click on a confirmation, a link in a confirmation email that's sent to them after they subscribe. That email is automatically sent to them, and this is called the double opt-in, which means people have opted into your list from your site by signing up. That's the first one. And then again in the email that they get, which has a link that they have to click on to confirm that they are human. That's the second one. And this is important to the email service provider because it shows that you didn't just plug emails into your own forms, that the person who actually owns that email address truly wants to be a part of your list. And it might seem annoying at first, but remember, this is extremely important and something we're going to bring up quite often today. You don't want everyone on your list. You don't want everybody on your list. You only want everybody that matters, meaning your target audience, of course, but also people who will read your emails and take action with them. The thing is, the more people you have on your email list, the more you're eventually going to have to pay the email service provider. And so if people sign up for your list and don't double opt in, then that's not the type of person you want on your email list anyways. Now, for this particular confirmation email, the actual email that they get automatically after they sign up, you're going to have the option to customize it a little bit. You're going to you can customize the greeting and also the end of it. And I would definitely take a few seconds to do that. The default email is pretty generic and lacks a bit of personality. So just change it up a bit and put your voice into it that your target audience is used to or that they will get used to. And also kind of set them up for that expectation so they know what they're going to get. Hey, thanks for subscribing to the Smart Passive Income newsletter. Please make sure to click the link below to confirm this is the correct email address and get your free ebook and updates to my weekly newsletter or something like that. Something like that works and increases the conversion rate for people who get this confirmation email a little bit. So well, why not? And it's always good to add your own voice in whenever you can and keep branding consistent throughout. Now, at the same time that your new subs are sent this confirmation email after they sign up through your website, they're going to be redirected to another web page. Now, you have the option, at least with Aweber, to have them land on a generic page hosted on Aweber. That's kind of the default thing that happens. Or you can set it up on your so that they're redirected to a page on your site, and you could write something similar. And I feel that the best thing to do is to keep this entire process on your brand, on your website. And when people get to this page, you want to tell them, hey, we just sent you an email. Please make sure you click on it, that type of thing. You can have it set up generic through Aweber or do it yourself. And I would definitely do-it-yourself, just to keep that experience flowing nicely with all of your branding elements and all your voice the whole way. And plus, the longer you get people to stick around on your site, the better. Okay, so after your subscribers get that email and they click on that confirmation link, they'll again be taken to another page that is basically a thank you page, like thank you for signing up. And just like before, you had the option with Aweber, at least, to have this be a generic page hosted on Aweber, or you can keep it on your own site, again, which I think is the right move for brand continuity purposes. And this particular option took me a while to find in Aweber. It's actually in the web form generation area, where you can create your own specific web forms that people can sign up on. So you can have different web forms on your site and different thank you pages for each, but I just prefer to have them all point to the same specific thank you page that I create on my WordPress blog. And I'll put a link in the show notes to my confirmation and thank you page so you can kind of see what they look like. And this thank you page is also a great opportunity to include some type of call to action. They've subscribed, they clicked on the link, and they finally landed there. It's sort of a dead end unless you tell them to do something. So make sure you don't keep it that way, and at least link to something like a popular post on your site, or maybe another. Maybe it's to your Facebook community or to your Twitter account. And, some people even put little promotions in there for books that they've written or products that they've created, which I think is pretty smart. Now, you might be wondering, well, Pat, where does that bonus offer that you were talking about go? That free gift that we can use to encourage people to sign up to your list? How do we deliver that to our new subscribers? Now, that's a great question. Now, this depends on what that bonus offer is. If it's simply an email course of some sort, like you're promoting, a free 7-day course for whatever, that content is delivered through your autoresponder sequence, which is a way to automatically send pre-written emails out to your subscribers sequentially based on when they sign up, which is really handy. And if you have this 7-day course or 3-day course or whatever, you would just pre-write your content and deliver it through there. It's all automated immediately after people sign up. It's pretty awesome. Now, if you have something a little bit more tangible, like an ebook or some other type of giveaway, maybe a video of some sort, or some handy tool or a piece of software, whatever, you have a couple of options. One, you can include this bonus on the thank you page that people go to after clicking the confirmation link on their email. That's a popular way to do it. In addition to saying, hey, thanks for subscribing, here's that bonus offer that you opted in for, as promised. That's one way to do it. The second way to do it is you can include a link in your follow-up email to a specific page on your site that's set up just for that bonus. And this is what I do. The reason I like to do it this way is because that link in the follow-up email, they're always going to have that in their inbox, as opposed to if you just have it on your thank you page and then some people won't bookmark that, or they don't download it the first time and then they lose it. I guess you could have the special bonus shown on both places, both in the thank you page and in an email that follows after people confirm. But then you'd be linking back to your thank you page and your email, and it gets all confusing. I mean, really, it's up to you which way ever you prefer, and it's not that big of a deal, to be honest. Now, this follow-up email that I was just talking about, this is the first email, kind of the first real email people get from you after confirming that they're a real person. And this email happens immediately, sort of after people click that confirmation link in that first email. And it's a requirement to set up this follow-up email, and it's a proper thing to do after people kind of confirm. You can say, hey, it's an opportunity to say thanks, but then you've got to get people ready for what's to come. You can just say thanks and leave it at that, but I think that first follow-up email is a good opportunity to tell people what to expect. You have to set their expectations, and this is important for two reasons. One, you want to remind people that you're going to be sending more emails in the future, and sort of what they're about. Not specifically, but mainly what those emails can do for them. Hey, stay tuned for more emails that will help you improve the results of your online business. Something like that. And also, hey, these emails will come once a week, and you can expect the first tip to come tomorrow from me, which you definitely don't want to miss. Something like that will definitely get people excited. And so when you send your emails in the future, it's not going to be a surprise. They're expecting it, and it's less likely for people to think of it as spam or annoying, because you already told them that they're coming. The second reason is, if certain people don't want what you said you're going to be sending, then that's a good opportunity for them to unsubscribe. It's sort of like what I like to call a weeder email. It weeds out the people who aren't really going to benefit from your list, and it weeds out the people for you who don't want to be on your list. And you don't want to pay for those extra leads. You don't want them on your list anyways. It screws up with your open rates and things like that. And as they say, a list of 100 strong subscribers is way better than a list of 100,000 dead subscribers. Totally. So this follow-up email is the set the expectations email, right? Like I just talked about. And so the next specific email you have to think about, which I think is actually the most important email of them all, is the first real message you send through your autoresponder, which I have set up for a day later. After they get that initial follow-up. So this is the first real kind of content email you're going to be sending them. And you could actually tell them you're going to be sending this email the next day, just like I just mentioned in the follow-up message. So what do you put in this email that you send out a day later? In this email, you put your best, most creative, amazing tip ever. Something with incredible value that would just make people say, dang, that was good. I'm definitely staying on this list. And that's the reason why you do that. You want to keep people on the list and impress the heck out of them right from the get-go. It's best if this email is content that's unique, something that you didn't mention on your blog already, and actionable. I think that's important too. Actionable, meaning it's not just text explaining something cool, but instructions also for people to do something and see almost immediate results from whatever it is you're trying to tell them to do. It's really important that this email just knock people's socks off. So you might be asking, well, how long should this email be? Now, most of my emails, or most of the emails you send, you don't want to be extremely long. They're just regular emails. They're not novels. And I'd say maybe 500 words or less, because it's an email, and sometimes the short, quick ones are often the more powerful ones. But don't get too bogged down on the exact number. The most important thing to do is to just say what you're going to say and get your point across. You don't need to include a whole bunch of fluff. Stories are great. And including actionable items and things like that, but just get your point across, right? Some emails are going to be longer and some emails are going to be shorter, but remember, this first email, actionable, epic, smart, okay? All right, so now that we're talking about the autoresponder, remember, these are people who sign up to get these emails. They're going to get these emails that you set up on your autoresponder sequentially over time and automatically. You can space them out as much as you like. And I personally have one going out each week, so 7 days. Sometimes I skip a week, so every 14 days they'll get a new email from me. But I usually have them set up for weekly. So even before you begin collecting email addresses on your website, you can have your autoresponder sequence already set up with a number of emails that you've pre-written that people are going to get when they subscribe. Once you write these emails, they're delivered automatically. It's great. It's a wonderful way to keep people, to keep reminding people who you are and what you're about, and delivering valuable content and building a relationship with people without you even having to do any additional work, because you did that already. This is a great passive way to build a relationship, is through your autoresponder. Just keep reminding people why you're awesome, right? So currently, I personally have 36 emails in my autoresponder. So I can, 7 days apart, sometimes 14, I can consistently keep in contact with new subscribers for almost a year without lifting a finger. How awesome is that? But 36 emails is a lot, but I didn't start out with 36. I started out with maybe 5 before I started collecting email addresses, and then I added more later. Some evenings when maybe I have a little bit more time, I'll just add a few more, and they just accumulate over time. Now, you might be wondering, well, Pat, what do you put in these emails? What do you put in your autoresponder emails? Good question. Here's how I have it set up. So as we mentioned before, the first follow-up email after they confirm is the actionable, awesome tip. That's number one. That's my first email. My second email is another good one, which is actually a little bit longer than normal, but its purpose is to just go head on head on against what most people are probably thinking, the fears that most people have. And I want to just address them head on and just address those biggest pains and those fears to keep them going, basically, to know that I know exactly how they feel or what they're feeling and that I'm here to help. The email, just to specify a little bit, I don't want to give away too much for those who aren't on the list yet. If you're not on the list, you should sign up. But this email is basically about why your next idea is probably going to fail and what you can do to stop that from happening. And it's a hard-hitting, pretty emotional email, actually. And the best part is when you write an email like that, when you can dive into exactly what people are thinking and address those things, you'll often get responses back from people saying things like, how do you know me so well? Or this email came at the perfect time for me, or this is exactly what I'm going through right now. Thank you. I mean, that's what you are aiming for with all of your emails. But when you talk about what most people are thinking and directly address those issues like you should in this second email, maybe this could even be your first one. Maybe it's that good. That will hit home for them. That'll do really good things for connecting with those people who are reading those emails. So those are the first two, and then I go through a few more emails, some content emails, a little bit of social proof, and then I have a strategically placed email that comes along and asks this really important question. Is there anything you want me to write a blog post about? That's actually the subject line of that email. We'll talk about subject lines later in this session, but that email right there, that directly asks my subscribers for feedback about themselves and what they're having issues with. And it is awesome. I mean, every single day, because people are going through this autoresponder at different moments in time in different parts of the autoresponder, I have a constant stream of emails that come into my inbox that tell me exactly what I should be writing about or publishing blog posts about, potentially creating products about. There's no need to think anymore. My audience is telling me exactly what their issues are. And then what happens? If it's something I already addressed, I simply send them a link back, and they're usually pretty thankful for that. If it's a bunch of people starting to ask about the same thing that I haven't addressed yet, I'll write a blog post about it or do a video or something. And then you could be sure that when I do that, those people immediately feel like they had some part in it. Right, that they had a say in me, in some influence on me writing this blog post or publishing that content, which they do. They do have a part in it, and as a result, they are more connected to me because it feels like I've helped them personally, and it should feel like that because, well, that's what I'm doing. I'm really personally helping people. I'm just doing it in a very efficient and smart way, and helping a lot of people at the same time. Right. So some of the emails I share are behind-the-scenes type stuff, or secrets about what I do, which always seem to have a big open rate. And in some of the emails I share a tool or a plugin that I use. I just like to mix it up a bit, so it's not the same old email each time. Another important email I put in there is one that that addresses and reconfirms who I am as a blogger and why I do what I do, like the reason why. I do what I do, so that people are reminded about that and reminded about why they're on the list that they've signed up for probably a while back. But this also deepens the connection that I have with them because I get a little bit personal in that email too. So I actually give people a job to do in that email. I give them some responsibility to make sure that I stay on the right track, and that's definitely one of the emails that has made the most impact on people. And I can tell by the number of responses I get. So if you're a part of my email list, you probably if you've gone through, I don't even know what part of the autoresponder sequence that particular email is, but you will remember it if you have seen it. Now, really, it's your list, so you can do whatever you want with it, and I encourage you to experiment. You can actually track. This is really cool. You could track how well your emails do based on the reports that you can generate. At least this is from what I know in Aweber. So if you go to Aweber, and on the upper right-hand corner, there's a tab for reports, and then you can click on the left-hand side something that says follow-up totals. You'll see a list of all of your follow-up emails. And unfortunately, and I really wish they would change this or just at least put the subject line or something. But right now they have them just by numbers. So email 1, email 2, email 36, whatever. But you can actually click on that number to see exactly what message it is that you're getting data for. And so for each of those messages, you can see how many times those emails have been sent how many times those emails have been opened. And if you have any HTML links in there, it'll tell you how many clicks you have gotten to, which is really handy. And there's a nice little graph that shows you kind of where the ups and downs are in your autoresponder sequence. Now, what you're looking for in this report are basically any abnormalities. Generally you'll see an open rate that's pretty average for most of your emails, and then maybe once in a while you'll see a really terrible open rate. I remember one time looking through this report and seeing a percentage that was more than 25% lower than most of the rest of the emails. And when I clicked to see what that message was, I saw right away what the issue was. The subject line was just terrible. So I ended up changing it, and actually that increased the open rate the next month. And that's the type of thing you're looking for here. Now, since we just touched on subject line, let's talk about that really quick. The subject line is incredibly important for your email because that's what people are going to see first. And if it's not that interesting, if it's not that eye-catching, or if it doesn't make people wonder what's in it, then no one's going to click to read that email. There's a huge difference between sending someone an email and having them actually read it, right? You can have the best content in your email in the world. It could be life-changing, but if your headline is lame, if your subject line is lame, you're not going to change very many lives, right? Just to let you know, a couple of my highest open rate email subject lines are, one of them is Pat's Super Secret Way 2, I'm not going to give it away here. And another one is, another one is how I lost $10,000 and what you can do to avoid this. That one's probably actually the one that is opened the most. And again, that's just because of the headline. I mean, who wants to lose 10K, right? I mean, so what I'm going to do is I'll actually post a couple of resources from other blogs in the show notes at smartpassiveincome.com/session45 about creating magnetic headlines. So check that out. Very important. And we could probably do an entire podcast episode just about that. I should probably get a copywriter here on the show sometime and just talk about headlines all day. That'd be fun. Okay, so back to the emails. One thing you have to think about is when they're going to be sent out. Not just days in between, 7 days, 14 days in between, but actually what time of day, right? And what day of the week they're going to be sent out. So you know your audience best. So you should have a pretty good idea of when your blog or your website is most active and is most engaged, right? And that's sort of when you would ideally want to send your emails. I'm actually subscribed to a lot of email lists, and many of them go out in the mornings, usually in or around 9 a.m. Eastern and 12 p.m. Eastern. Because think about it, 9 a.m. Eastern, you get the East Coasters in the U.S. who are just getting to work. And what do most people do when they get to work? They check their emails, right? And noontime on the East Coast, that's around lunchtime, and people like to catch up on personal emails at that time. So at the same time, at noon on the East Coast, that's 9 o'clock on the West Coast. So that's when people are getting to work. And again, like I said, people are checking their emails at that time. So, that's when I've been sending mine out, and it seems to be working pretty well. If you're not in the U.S., then you'll have to sort of figure it out on your own. And really the best thing to do, no matter what country you're from, is just to test, and experiment. Now, what days of the week? We talked about what time of the day. What day of the week? Now, this is where I sort of created some rules based on a few things. The main thing is my particular audience isn't very active on the weekends. If I write something that gets them to take action, which I do in my autoresponder, they're more likely to be in the right frame of mind to do those things and take action on the weekday, not on the weekend. And really, personally, I just don't want to disturb people on the weekends very much and take away from, soccer games and family time and all that stuff. That's just my thinking. But, just so you know, I have my autoresponder emails going out from Tuesday through Friday. And you could set these rules for each and every email you have. Only send between 6 a.m. and 12 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday through Friday. So, what goes on Mondays then, right? You might be wondering. Well, Mondays are, at least for my blog, again, everyone's different. Mondays are, for me, the busiest day of the week for my blog. It's when I get the most traffic. It's when I get the most engagement, the most comments, most time on the site. Everything like that. So I have my Mondays reserved for broadcasts. Broadcasts are emails that aren't pre-written ahead of time. I guess they could be, but they go out to all subscribers at the exact same time, whether they've signed up 2 weeks ago or 2 years ago, right? I have Mondays reserved for broadcasts, and this is because I don't want to send people 2 emails in one single day. Now, I know that I'm not doubling up with an email that someone might get through the autoresponder. It's a lot easier for me to know that Mondays for broadcasts, if I choose to send them, I don't send them every single Monday, and Tuesday through Friday are for the autoresponders. I don't want to send people more than 1 email in one day. To me, that just gets a bit annoying, right? So your schedule will be different, like I said, but that's what I do, and I think the main thing is to just, be conscious about the emails you're sending out and when you're sending them out. So now that we've touched on the broadcast emails a bit, that real-time email that you send to everyone on your list at the same time when you hit send, let's talk about what goes in your broadcast emails, or what can go in your broadcast emails. I mean, it could be anything, but typically it involves some sort of announcement or news, something that is, real-time and sort of happening now, right? Sometimes, like I said, I'll include a link to a blog post if it's like, if it's a really, really, really important one that I think people must read, especially if it's sort of time sensitive. I mean, I remember sending a broadcast out about the new changes on Facebook pages when they switched, to the timeline format. And so I linked to a blog post that I had written, which included the changes and some instructional videos on how to use timeline for pages, which I knew a lot of people were scrambling for. So, I remember another one where I talked about when I got an interesting email from Google AdSense. I wrote a blog post about the team from Google AdSense sending me a warning, and that was pretty time sensitive. So I linked to that post in a broadcast email because it wouldn't make sense to put that in an autoresponder sequence, because who knows what the policies are going to be if Google AdSense will even be around. I mean, I'm sure it'll be, but that's something that could change. But this was very time sensitive, so it made sense to be in a broadcast, and it made sense to link to a blog post in that case too. Now, my issue with broadcasts, though, is that a lot of people sell with their broadcasts, a lot. And I think a little bit of selling is okay. And of course, if you set the expectation that you're going to be selling a lot, in an email list all the time, and people double opt in knowing you're going to be selling to them all the time, then that's okay, because they know what they're going to get, that they're going to get offers all the time. Some email lists are set up, they're just set up that way. Like, people sign up knowing they're going to get offers that they couldn't get anywhere else, or discounts on things because the owner of that list has some hookup or something. But it's when people sign up to get a free gift or specific kind of content, exclusive content or newsletter, and they're just fed email after email after email of sell, this offer, that new offer. My buddy created this new tool, you got to check it out. There's this new program that'll change your life, $1 million overnight. Like, what the heck, man? I mean, oh gosh, that type of thing. I mean, just too much of it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Like I just licked a tire or something. That's why I purposely chose to not directly sell anything on my email list, especially JV offers, joint venture offer type stuff that other people say that would be useful to my audience that I haven't even tried yet myself. I'm not going to put that on my email list. It's rude to my list to do that stuff. It's not what they signed up for, and I don't want to try and squeeze every dollar out of my subscribers. They're not going to be subscribers much longer if you keep doing that. So you might be wondering, well, Pat, in the first part of the series, you said that an email list was great for building relationships. And I get that by your choice to not directly sell to your email list. But it costs money to have an email list. And you even said that to a point you agree that the money's still in the list. How do you figure? Yeah, I think the money is still in the list, but not in the way that most people teach it. You don't have to sell. So my response to this question is a great question. And 2, you can still make money from your list without directly selling to your list. I still make money from my list. I always think content and value first. And if within that content, there's a tool or product I can recommend that will help a person achieve a specific goal or fulfill a specific need, then I send them a link back to a blog post, which includes even more related content, just totally over delivering here. And then in that post, there could be an affiliate link or a link to a product that I'm selling. For example, in one very successful email I sent out back in April of 2012, April 16th, I think it was, I did an interview with our good friend Corbett Barr from thinktraffic.net. 17-minute video interview back and forth about how to get traffic to your site. It was a video interview in HD, right? It was a great interview. Got some really amazing tips from Corbett there. We were just going back and forth, and I link to this blog post, in a broadcast email. And I do this because, one, Corbett's awesome, and most of my audience already knows he always brings this stuff. Number two, he and I have a really good vibe, and so when he's been on the podcast with me, we've always talked about great traffic tips and really cool out of the box stuff has come out of it that is really helpful to people. And number three, I linked to it in the blog post because I wanted to share how cool it was to do an HD interview. And so on this blog post, there's a video that people can watch, and I have the transcript there too. And at the end of the video, just a quick little plug from Corbett about his new course, which is called Traffic School, which I am an affiliate for. Again, it's all about the content first, and we delivered so much value that the little plug at the end is definitely okay and accepted by people. I mean, people would have already spent 17 minutes with us already. So it's not like you're just sending cold emails and asking people to buy stuff without even having a chance to blink yet. The people who watched this video were engaged. They got some great information out of it, actionable tips, and were okay with a small pitch at the end. And many people actually ended up buying that course through my affiliate link. I mean, I think that's even better to do it that way because then you could prove how awesome the content is, which will lead into that particular content. If you don't deliver in your content, then that pitch is just going to be totally worthless. And I was extremely confident in that video. Again, how much money you make, this is like a new saying of mine, how much money you make is a byproduct of exactly how helpful you are. I absolutely believe that. How much money you make is a byproduct of exactly how helpful you are to your audience. And this was a great example of that. And I actually ended up earning, just from that single email, about $3,600 in a day from that email. It's crazy, but everybody's happy in the end. So I hope you could see you don't need to sell in order to make a ton of money. All you need to do is build relationships, help people out like crazy, and then give them opportunities to pay you back, either through products that you've created or products you're selling as an affiliate that, and this is important, that is something that will help them achieve their goals. Whew. All right, so I got a lot to say about emails. I mean, this is the second session about it, and already that's over an hour of content just about emails. Now, I have a few leftover items I want to address, quick things that before we finish it that I know some people are probably going to bring up or have questions about. First thing, HTML versus plain text emails. Which one is better? Now, with these email service providers, again, at least with Aweber, I'm not exactly sure about the others, but you have the option to send an HTML email or a plain text email. Now, with HTML, you get all the fancy designs and templates that you could use. You can put images in there and structure it so it looks like an actual paper newsletter almost. And that's okay if you want to do that. If you have a specific brand, especially if you're sort of an e-commerce site or a news type site, and you just want to highlight a number of different things in your email, it might make sense to create a sort of template that could do that for you and keep the brand experience of the website the same in your email. That's a great strategy. For me, though, I'm just delivering content, right? And personally, I want to write the emails like I'm writing to a friend. And I want that email to be read as if it was coming from a friend, someone that people trust, which is why I don't include any crazy graphics or templates in the emails or whatsoever. I just keep it all text. And really, there are some email clients out there that, you have to click an extra button to see the graphics, or it's just, it just gets annoying sometimes. So I just like it all text. Now, that doesn't mean I only do plain text, though. I'll do HTML text as well. I just don't use graphics. And I hope that doesn't sound confusing, and I know it might, but, let me try to explain. In the email fields in Aweber, you get two fields, one for HTML and the other one for plain text. I write my email in the HTML field, but I just type it out as if I were just writing a regular email like in Gmail or Outlook, which are also HTML as well. This looks the most natural, and those that can accept HTML emails, not all can do that, like I just said, but those who can will see it, and it'll look like an email from a friend or a coworker or whatever. Now, at the same time, I also copy and paste that text that I wrote in the HTML field and paste it into the plain text field. So I have the same exact email in the HTML field and the plain text field. And the reason I do this is because if people cannot read the HTML version, it'll default to the plain text version. And so by filling in the plain text version one, you can cover all your scenarios, just in cases. And it's probably a small percentage that won't be able to get the HTML email, but, every person counts who is reading your emails, I feel. And so, one last thing about the plain text emails, just always make sure that when you paste into the plain text one, or when you write your emails in the plain text field, that you hit the wrap long lines button. There's a button or a little link that says wrap long lines, and that keeps your plain text email at the recommended width for plain text emails. So that's HTML versus plain text. The width of the email is another thing that I want to bring up, and a lot of people don't actually address this very much. And this was a great tip I got from our friend Glenn Alsop from viperchill.com, and I want to make sure he gets credit for this. When he actually read one of my emails, he subscribed to my list, and it was like, dude, this is too wide. Put it in a table that's about 370 to 400 pixels wide, and it'll be much easier to read. And I was like, what? I didn't even understand what language you were speaking just then. But then I looked at one of his emails and compared it to mine, and sure enough, because his was sort of enclosed in an invisible table, meaning the text didn't go from the left edge to the right edge, it was kind of in a set width, it was a lot easier to read, and I read it a lot faster too. And I think it may be because you sort of get down the page much faster, so then you feel like you're making progress as you read, similar to the you may have heard the Derek Halpern strategy for including an image in the top right of your posts so that people get down the page much faster with the same amount of text because it's wrapped on the left-hand side. Anyways, this table that I'm talking about, it's a bit codey. There's some code that goes along with it. So you actually need to go into the HTML version. The plain text one, wraps the lines already, so you don't need to worry about this. But in the HTML version, you click on the source code of the email. So you're not looking at the WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get editor anymore. You're in the actual HTML source code, and then you add some HTML code above your email and below it. And, like I said, I'll have that specific code for you in the show notes as well that you can just copy and paste into your own emails, and I'll give you a little sample of what it looks like behind the scenes in the source code. It's just difficult to say and share on the podcast, so it's there in the show notes. And so for that tip, don't thank me. Thank Glenn Alsop from viperchill.com. Thank you, Glenn. Now, third tip, and this is the last one of our show. We're hitting the 42-minute mark already. I can't believe it. It's about links. Links that you put in your emails, and it's okay to put links in your emails. Just don't put too many. And I typically put just one, and I mention it usually twice in the emails. One time in the middle, and then one time at the end as sort of a reminder. And I write the entire thing out. Like I don't use anchor text. I write http://www.smartpassiveincome.com/ Bluehost or whatever, right? So for HTML, you could do anchor texts, but those can easily be looked over. And in emails, I like the longer line URL. And what I usually do is I put it on its own line in the email so it stands out, and it's long so people can't miss it. So I'll say like, you could read this post by clicking here. I hit return, then I paste the URL. I hit return again, and then I go on. So again, that URL is on its own line, so people can't miss it. And obviously, you want to give them a call to action to click it. And make sure, and this is a big mistake that I actually made for a while, in your HTML emails, when you write your URLs, just like I shared, even when you write them out in full like that, sometimes they're not going to be linked when people receive those emails. You want to always make sure you manually hyperlink those emails using the hyperlink tool in your email service provider. Aweber, it's just a little button that looks like a world with a chain or a little link on it. The worst thing to do would just be to share this and not have it be clickable, because no one's going to copy and paste this and put it in their browser, or not that many people will do that. So you got to put in this hyperlink so that it tells the email client that people are reading your email from that there is no question that is a link. And again, make sure you use the hyperlink tool in your editor. So that's the last tip. If you have any more questions, please let me know in the comments section of the show notes, smartpassiveincome.com/session 45. I love emails. They do great things for me, and I know they will do great things for you too if you put these tips and strategies into place and are at least conscious about what you're doing with your emails. I know a lot of people that have emails, they're building lists, and that's great, but they just send emails randomly and there's no real strategy to it. So hopefully this sort of guides you a little bit more. And again, it's your email list. You can do what you want with it, but this is my experience and I hope you learn something from it and learn something from the mistakes I've made too. So thank you all so much. Look out for another podcast episode coming very, very soon. I've been doing a lot of these podcasts lately and I'm really enjoying it. And really, this next one, it's a good one. Session number 46. It's an interview, and you'll see who it's with. And this is a great session 46. If you're having trouble finding a niche to get into, or you don't really feel like becoming the expert in your industry, but you still want to make some good money online, that's what it's going to be about. So that's the teaser, and I guess I'll see you in the next session. Cheers, and thank you. Thank you for all your support, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
Have you dreamt about being your own boss, but still haven't made the first steps to making that dream a reality? Well, I get that. Starting a business can feel super overwhelming with legal forms, paperwork, finances. It's a lot. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Taylor Brands. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal assets and the business assets separate from day one. From there, you get access to everything you need to get off the ground. Legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program, all designed to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free, personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, listeners of this show get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. All you have to do is head to taylorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Taylor Brands. Look, I get it. You want to grow your business, but trying to sell to hundreds or even thousands of people gets very exhausting very fast. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? ScoreApp helps you sell to more people without adding more to your plate. You build a quiz or assessment that your audience actually wants to take. Then they answer a few quick questions and get a personalized result right away. It shows them where they're at and what they need to do next and how you can help. And you build huge amounts of trust before you make even a single offer. No hard sell, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. All you have to do is just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI.